Merry Christmas to all of our wonderful missionaries. We love you. We are grateful for you, and I've been trying to think of what would be the best gift I could give you this Christmas. And a few weeks ago, I was on my bike thinking about this, and a thought came into my mind. It's been going over and over since then. And I've decided that this would be the most valuable gift I can give you is a little video to teach you some principles that have changed my life, literally, completely. This changed our life to the point where, um, because we live this principle, because of the things I'm going to show you, this is the main reason, other than spirituality, other than the preparing spiritually, I think, but this is the main reason we were able to be called. The church felt comfortable about calling us and using us as leaders. And it's about finances, it's about money. So I'm going to walk through with you some principles that I've learned. And it wasn't that long ago, I guess it was long ago, but in my life, not that long ago. I should have learned these principles. If I'd learned these principles when I first was married, when we were beginning our family, after my mission, I would be in a much different position than I am today. Um, but I eventually learned them, and they've changed our lives. So I am going to share my screen with you, and hopefully you can see this okay. Um, and we'll just kind of walk through some things here that I think are very valuable. First of all, I titled this "Owning Your Finances." And the other day I was thinking about this, and I realized one of the main principles of this and where we are in the world today is we don't understand this. Money is not yours when it belongs to someone else. So I think about that for a minute. If you are making all this money, but you've already committed it to someone else through debt, or other things, or overextending yourself, then it really isn't yours. You're earning money for somebody else. Now, there's lots of things that we have to use our money for to buy things, but they can either control you or you can be in control of your money and where it goes. So, what does that mean? Well, typically, and this is the way I lived. This is the way I lived for much of my life. Was paycheck to paycheck. You get paid. You have this amount of money in front of you, and you have to decide: do I have enough money for rent? Do I have enough money for food? Can I pay my cell phone bill? Um, Sometimes we look at our bank balance and or the credit we have on our credit card and we think, oh, I really want a TV, or I really want this. Somebody else has this. It's really cool. I want that, and right now it's on sale and for a limited time. So I'm gonna buy it now. And then your utility bills. How do I pay these bills that come? It's so frustrating that I have to pay these bills. You have choices to make when you have money. And like I said, you look at your bank balance and you think, okay, sometimes there's money in there and you think, oh, if I've got money, then I can spend it. But money comes in and it goes out almost as fast or maybe faster, because of the bills that you have. And again, if you don't have enough cash, you don't have enough money in the bank. Well, I've got this credit card and I've got enough credit on it. I can use it. I'll pay it off next month, or have want to buy this new TV. Well, I'll just use the credit card and I'll pay it when I get my bonus, my Christmas bonus, or whatever it might be. And maybe I just pay a little bit more next month and I'll be able to get this credit card paid off. And we're always saying, I want to get this credit card paid off. And it never is. Money just flies. It comes in and it goes out. And again, it doesn't belong to you if it already belongs to someone else. There's lots of emotions tied in to money. When when you buy things, it's a dopamine hit. It really makes you feel good, and you think, oh yay, it feels so good to be able to buy a new TV or to buy a new car or to buy this or buy that. And but then there's these negative feelings that come about money as well. I don't make enough money for everything. If I only had enough, if I only had this, if I only um, these bills keep coming and I have to pay these bills and it's so frustrating. I wish I didn't have to pay this electric bill. I've changed my attitude about bills. I love paying my electric bill. I love paying my internet bill. I love paying my cell bill because I get those services. If I didn't pay those bills, then I don't have those services. And I want light in my house. And so it's need to change our emotions about these things. The the next um, concept with this is again, typical money management is if I get paid $4,000 a month, then usually I get paid twice a month, once at the beginning of the month, once in the middle of the month. And when I get the first paycheck, it all goes to rent, food, and tithing, and it's gone, and I don't have any money left. And you get your second paycheck, and you think, okay, as soon as I get my next paycheck, then um, I can buy that special thing. But then you've got your utility bills, you still have to buy food. Maybe you have a car payment. There's all these things, and pretty soon that money's gone. So when, if for any reason your payment at the beginning of the month were delayed, you're in trouble because you wouldn't have enough money for rent, or maybe you get behind um, on your cell phone bill and you didn't have enough the second half, and now you got to pay it anyway. There's lots of things that happen. These are things I'm sharing with you, stuff that happened to me, and these are the feelings that I had, and they're real. And I imagine that many of you have these same experiences. Um, so when you don't have enough for these things, you go to your credit card. I got credit, I'm going to use it. And so then, though that credit card, maybe your subscriptions you pay with your credit card and you don't think about it because it's not money coming out of your bank account. You don't ever see that money and coming out of the bank account. And so you think, well, I've got enough. And then that's why the credit card always has a balance and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's really hard to pay that down. And maybe you pay the minimum payments, but then when things get tight, it grows again. And you got to be really careful of that. So how do we fix this? This is the key. And I'm going to use a word here that I know is going to turn many of you off. It is I hated this word, and I still don't use it much. But it's budget. Budget. I used to think, well, I can't really make a budget because that limits me. It's very time consuming. I have to sit down and go through and figure out a budget. And I don't know. I need flexibility. What happens if this, if I need something and it's not on the budget, so then I can't use it. And really, only nerds budget. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking this is just kind of like the commandments, right? We don't like to talk about the commandments because the commandments are very limiting. It doesn't give me flexibility. It's really time consuming to do what I'm supposed to do. And of course, only goody goodies follow the commandments. Kind of similar. So, what we want to do is get to the point where you own your own money. You own your money. When your money comes in, it's yours. And you decide beforehand how you're going to use it. And every dollar that comes in, you have a purpose for it, and it's yours before you decide to give it to somebody else. Before you and you make those choices of where it goes. And if you do this correctly, then these emotions change. You're in control of that money, and it gives you freedom because you can do what you want, not what your impulse to do, but you have control over what you do. So here's how you start. This is how we get there. We begin by listing out. Get a sheet of paper or open up a spreadsheet, which is what I would do. You open up a spreadsheet, you get a sheet of paper, and you list out what are all the things that you spend money on each month. What are all the yearly expenses? What are things that come in once a year? Maybe your car insurance or I don't know, maybe there's some taxes. There's yearly expenses that come as well. Make sure you list them all out so you know what they are. Maybe there's some one-time expenses. Maybe you do want to buy a TV. Maybe you do want to buy new clothes or whatever. Those are or a new something. List those out. These are things that I want that I don't have. And then there's long-term goals, the new car, the vacation, those kinds of things. And list out what is your total debt? How much money do you owe right now on your credit card? So get it all down on paper. So you list these out and you have a category of what those are. You have tithing that you pay every month, rent, food, utilities, car loan, insurance, all those kinds of things. And then a column for what do you spend every month? What do you spend? Which ones of these are yearly? And which ones of these are one-time expenditures? And so you start listing them out. And let's assume again, you make $4,000 a month divided into two paychecks. So list out here what you typically start out by putting what you are spending, and then you may want to think about how you could spend in a way to keep this within underneath the $4,000 a month. And so you list these all out. And then what you do is you list out your um, you take these and you divide them. So if you get two paychecks a month, tithing would be $200 a paycheck. Rent would be $650 a paycheck. That doesn't mean you're going to pay the rent twice a month. It means that you're going to put aside on each paycheck, you're going to put aside $650. So let's just walk through this. You have to kind of give yourself a month or so to get going. But so the first paycheck, if you put $650 away, and the second paycheck, you put $650 away, at the end of the month, your bank account has $1,300 and you can pay rent. And then your paycheck comes and you're not waiting for that paycheck to come. You pay rent and then your paycheck comes and you put $650 away. Um, and then another six. So you're on top of it. You're not behind it. And the same with food and utilities and your car loan. If you have a $400 a month car loan, pay the 400 month or budget out $200 per paycheck for that car loan. I would suggest you do something else with that also, and looking at what you have total debt. What you may want to do is pay a little bit more. If you can pay that car off faster, once the car is paid, then what you do is you keep this budget at $400 a month. Don't go into debt for another car yet. Keep putting $400 away in your own bank account. So you're paying yourself that car payment. And after a while, you're going to have enough money to sell your car, the value of what that car is, and you're going to have extra money that you put away and you can buy a better car. And if you keep doing that, you can get to the point where you're never going into debt for a car because you're paying yourself ahead of time before you buy the car and you have the money you need to buy. It may not be as big and nice of a car as you want because you can't afford it yet, but eventually you will, and it will. Insurance, if you are paying monthly for your insurance, you're paying fees. And so if you can let's use this as an example, if your insurance is $2,400 a year, then put $200 per paycheck away and and it will, or actually that's $200 a month. That should have been $100 a paycheck. So $200 a month away for insurance, And when the insurance comes, you can pay it all at once and you have it and you don't have to pay those extra fees and it's cheaper for you. It's a little hard again to get to the point where you're able to do that, but if you can do a little bit more every month and build up, then at some point you get to the point where you can pay that. And if you reduce your other expenses enough to get caught up on things, then you get there. With other debt, with credit card payments, let's say you have other credit card payments, find the lowest debt you have and work hard to just pay it off. Get it paid off. And then whatever you've been budgeting to pay for that debt, you can pay yourself and you own that money and you can put it in one of these other categories and have a little bit more. I hope that makes sense. Um, so the one of the ways that you can do this, physically do this, is by creating envelopes or getting a bunch of envelopes and putting titles on those envelopes. Let's say your groceries, you put, $250 cash in that envelope. When you go grocery shopping, you take that grocery envelope with you, and that's all you have to spend on groceries. And it limits you, it keeps you within that budget naturally. And there may be times when you need to move money from one envelope to another because maybe the gas has gone up, the gas prices, and so you have to spend a little bit more on gas than what you have been. So maybe you need to take a little bit more out of clothing or out of one of your other categories to put into gas, and you adjust your budget that way. So you can do it physically, or this is the way we do it. This is an example. This screen is an example of different apps that are out there. This is just a sample. It's not ours, but there are different apps available that you can use. Some of them cost money, some of them are free. That that follow this principle where you have categories and they link to your checking account. So when you get money in your checking account, it shows you've got money, and you then divide that money up to make sure that every dollar is assigned to a different category. And and month after month, if there's extra money in that envelope, it carries over to the next month, and you can build up the balance on those categories. And if you have to move money around, you can do it, and you do it electronically. And it links to your credit cards as well. So when you spend money on your credit card, it comes in and you assign that expense to one of these categories, and that forces you to keep your credit card spending within your budget as well, because it doesn't matter, and it allocates money aside to pay that credit card off fully so that you don't have to you're not going into debt, you're not building up that credit card balance. um, this is what changed our lives. um, we wanted to be I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 35. We talked about this when we were engaged, and my wife and I both decided that's what we were going to do. And when I turned 35, I had made over $1 million. I had nothing. I had nothing to show for it. I had no savings. We were living paycheck to paycheck and um, not able to cover our bills. We were really far into debt. And we decided that we were going to get out of debt. Um, we, President Hinckley, in conference in 1998, encouraged us to get out of debt. And we put our hands in the Lord's hands and said, we're going to get out of debt. And within a few years, we were able to be out of debt except for our house. And then when we had an opportunity to get a job out in Virginia, we were able to sell our house in Utah for enough money that we were able to buy a house out in Virginia. The values were lower there without going into debt. And ever since then, we have not had any debt. So you can choose. Do you let your money control you? If you have $1,350 in the bank, then you think, oh, I'm just going to use I've got that much money to spend. Then that's controlling you as opposed to having the categories, having a budget, having the items. You'd allocate money in each one of these items, and it doesn't matter what's in your bank account because whatever's in your bank account is already allocated, and you control it. You own that. It's your money. It's nobody else's money until you give it to them. Well, I love you. I pray that the Lord will bless you as you move forward. We would be happy to talk to any of you about any of the details of how we do this or how to help you, but I just felt like this would be a blessing to you in your lives. And I pray that the Lord will bless you and guide you. I want you to know that God lives. Read the Book of Mormon every day. Never let a day go by without opening that book. And I pray that the Lord will bless you in all the things that you're doing and that you will feel of our love in your lives. And I leave that with you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.